Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Max bringing you guys another YouTube video. If you look into the background, you'll actually see some World War II gameplay, but that's not what I'm actually going to be talking about today. What I'm going to be talking about today is something kind of new I would like to start posting on my channel. It won't be like a super consistent thing because this is one of those things. It's like whenever I think about something, I'll upload it, but it's very far and few between. And what this actually is a gaming idea, I guess you could call it, an idea for games. I haven't really, thought of a title yet. Game ideas would be, there you go, that'd probably be it. But what this is just going to be a series where I talk about game ideas and other games that I've played and see if there's any way that I can improve other games or talk about just games that I would like to see be created in general. And so today we're actually going to be starting with a very kind of overplayed genre of games, which is like zombie survival games, but this one is a little bit different than other ones. For example, it'll be zombie survival. There will be crafting, but not in a natural way. Kind of like you don't get to create stuff, but you'll see when I get into it. But before I actually start talking about that, guys, I want to say right off the bat that if any gaming company is actually watching this or listening to me or anything like that, I don't want like a cut of profits if someone wants to use this. I really don't. What I want from this is I want this game to be made, and I want it to be made right if it is possible. So if a company would like to make a game that I'm actually talking about, all you have to do is send me a message, whatever, and I'll tell you, hey, yeah, you can, or maybe if I'm waiting on a different company to talk to me, then maybe I'll say, well, hold on. Really, I don't care as long as the company that I'm working with, that I'm doing, is a company that's good at what I'm liking, what I want to do. Like, for example, I wouldn't let Activision create this type of game because it's not what they do. They're more of like a first-person shooter genre, COD. But other companies like Bethesda, which is, they make some of my favorite games, I would love them to do this kind of game because it's like right in their sweet spot almost. So, with all that being said and whatnot, I don't want to cut the profits from the game. I just want you to ask me if it's cool and for you to listen to what I'm saying. And maybe a free copy of like my own kind of game would be nice. It's a joke, guys. It's chill. So getting into the actual game, it's a zombie survival kind of game, and it's set into a city. It's it's similar to a couple different games if you really think about it, but it has its own twists and turns. I want it to be set in a big city where you can run around and where you can explore, but I want zombies to be legitimately scary. Like, if you get bit, that's the end. There's no way to solve it, there's no way to prevent it, there's no way to postpone it, nothing. You get bit, it's it. Zombies are actually scary. They do a large amount of damage, and they're extremely hard to deal with, especially at the very beginning of the game. But they're not an easy matter as the game goes on either. There's a lot of them, kind of like in Dead Rising. There's a lot of zombies around. Not that many, because you still need to be able to get from point A to point B, but that kind of amount of zombies. And the way you deal with all of these is it's not a mass multiplayer game or anything. You can only have one other player with you, in fact, and even that increases how much damage stuff does. But outside of the zombies, there's also like survivors, other people out there, some of which are friendly, and you can save them and escort them back to what is your home, which I'll get into here in a little bit. And some are not. Some are like crazy, or some want what you have, they'll attack you. And the ones who attack you, of course, you can kill them, you can loot them, you can take their junk, whatever. But as for the people you actually bring back to your home base, each survivor has kind of like a different like attribute. Kind of like, if you get electrician, then he can help you add electricity to your home, which will make all the other survivors happier and work better, and will draw more people to start trying to come to your place, kind of. Does that make sense? So it's more of like your survivors will actually do the crafting, you get them the materials. So you wouldn't actually be doing any of the crafting yourself, just letting them handle it, I guess. And that's kind of like almost the skill part of this, because when you get a survivor, then that's kind of like an upgrade. Like, if you get an electrician, then you have the ability to put, electricity in your base. Or if you get a gunsmith, then you have the chance to put, guns and whatnot in your place and arm your people. So that's kind of almost how like the skills work as well. Earlier I mentioned the homes where you're going to take your survivors, actually, back to your home. And basically the way this home works is it's actually a place you can move around, but the more survivors you have, the longer and the more risky it is to actually move. But basically what you do is you create like banners or maybe paint on like a wall or whatever, and you could claim a building or maybe one or two different buildings, and that would become like your home area. You yourself could then place stuff there and have other people build stuff there, and you could store your stuff there, and that's where all your survivors would be. You could keep your gear. At night you could sleep, which by the way is the only time you can save, when it is nighttime and if you choose to sleep. The game would also be an hour long, that way there's a really big punishment if you die. If you're at the tail end of a day and you're heading back to your base and you make a stupid mistake and you die, then you'd have to redo that whole day, which is almost like an hour's worth of gameplay. Back to like the home thing. So you could create banners or paint on walls, design of your choice preferably. I think that would be really cool if you could somehow create or maybe even choose between different stuff just to differentiate yourself, I guess. I just thought it'd be cool. That's where you could take everybody, and you have to take into effect of how it works, like how far away water is from this place or how close it is to the center of the city, because at the center of the city there would be more survivors, or there's just like random factors that would factor into that. Other than the home base, I also wanted kind of a lot of different weapons per se, just a lot of different types of weapons. So you'd have your blunt weapons, your edged weapons, your piercing weapons, you'd have firearms of many calibers, you'd have crossbows, you'd have regular bows, you'd have unarmed, like all that kind of different stuff, and each one would do different things. And so like a piercing, you could pierce an enemy like a throwing spear. You could throw a throwing spear, and as long as that spear was in the enemy, they would continuously bleed. Or like an edged weapon, it would have a small chance of causing an enemy to bleed out or whatever. But like a piercing weapon, because you throw it, if it hits them, it has a much greater chance. So just like a different variety of stuff. Another thing I wanted to actually have in this game would be an aspect of kind of like, it's not really like a leveling system, but like an upgrade system. So like the more you run around and you sprint, then the more stamina you have over a certain amount of time, or the more combat you do with a specific type of weapon, the more damage that specific type of weapon does. So say you're like level 5 or 6 or whatever in piercing weapons, and that said weapon does whatever 20 damage, and then you pick up an edged weapon that you're only like level 2, and they could be of the same kind of area, like, because different weapons do different damage, but they'd be in that kind of same level of weapon. However, the spear would do a lot more due to its increase in level. And that way later on into the game, you have to really think about, or in the beginning of the game, you have to really think about like, hey, later down the line, am I going to be using this? Am I going to be using that? And you have to really see how everything is going to play out and whatnot. As far as story goes, I haven't really thought of anything for story. I don't even know if this kind of game would really have one. It would just kind of be like a get in and play sort of deal, similar to a lot of games. I mean, not a lot of games. I mean, a lot of games have story. I mean, not like a lot of games. So between the home and the survivors, which I think are both kind of very unique things, another thing that I wanted would be a variety of different zombies, but not like a lot of other games portray them. For example, in Dying Light, there are a mix of different types of zombies. There are your regular zombies, there are the bolters, I guess, or whatever, and they look like some crazy toxic waste creature or whatever. There are the guys with like these big ass like rebar clubs and that kind of deal, but I don't want it to be like that where it's just really random. I want like the more you get into the game, so like the more survivors you have back at your base, or the higher of a level you are, stuff like that, the more the map you explore, that kind of deal, then not only do the zombies get a little bit harder, but it'll gradually start increasing the chances you have of seeing like different zombies in a way. Like for example, military zombies, because if a military person gets bit, they can still turn into a zombie, but they always have the gear on them. So even though in real life there's no such thing as a bulletproof vest, there's only bullet resistant, for the sake of the game, a zombie that was, ex-military would be all out in their gear, meaning you'd have to shoot them directly into the face or the legs where they don't have armor in order to deal actual damage to them, because they'd have, in this game, what would be a bulletproof vest and a bulletproof helmet, preventing you from getting easy headshots. Similar things would be like with cops. That'd be kind of the in-between regular and the military, because they might have the vests on, but you can still hit them into the face because they don't have a helmet. Now, what comes with these different types of zombies of that sort is a fact of the better, or the harder the zombie is to kill, the better the loot. If you kill just a random zombie that, used to just be a random person, you might find, like, $100 and some pocket change, or toothpick, or like whatever, just some random junk. You probably won't ever find anything really great off of them. However, if you kill a policeman zombie that you would start finding later on, it'd have an increased chance of having things like bullets or specific types of handguns, or you could have a chance to be able to pick up the vest, which would give you a little bit of armor against other survivors. And then the same thing goes with like military. Military would have like assault bullets and have like a greater chance of getting pistols, and like a low chance of like a rifle and that kind of stuff. Just variations of zombies in a more real aspect. As well, or in addition to the multiple types of zombies, I also wanted multiple types of weapons. So you may have handguns, but you could have a 9mm, you could have a 22, you could have, what are some other calibers? Like a 45, a 46, or 46? I don't know if that's the actual caliber. 44, there you go, that's what I was thinking of. And just different calibers, and the more powerful certain calibers are, the harder they would be to find. However, they would do a lot more damage to whatever you were trying to kill, so it would kind of be worth it. And that's kind of what I was thinking about with like the massive amount of, weapons, because I'm one who loves variation. I also wanted to have the ability to customize weapons. Say you have one pistol that you really like, you could add a special grip to it, which would increase your ADS time, your aim down sights time. You could also add a custom sight, or a custom barrel. Maybe use special bullets down the line if you get, high tier enough with that kind of weapon. And I also wanted like different paint jobs. Like there's no really tactical use to just having all of your weapons be black. So I thought it'd be really fun if once you got to a certain point in the game, maybe you find a survivor that was like a painter or an artist, or maybe he was like someone who works on like the body of cars and whatever to paint them out. Well, then you could give this person your weapons in exchange for whatever they wanted to put like a custom look on your weapon. Of course, not something that you would make, because that'd be really hard to kind of implement. Although it'd be really cool if it was possible. Maybe have like a lot of different presets, and as you level up a certain weapon type enough, you'd unlock more and more of those different types of skins you could put onto weapons. And they would vary from weapon to weapon, so you wouldn't have, you would have like this purpley one that is on all weapons. All weapons would be different. There'd be some that would be kind of the same for like when you level up. Like if you reach max level, then you get this really cool gold and diamond thing that makes it look like some like crazy badass $1 million weapon. And that could be the same between all different weapons, because you have that feeling of like, damn, finally I got the best shit whatever that I can put on this gun, which would be amazing. And you kind of have the same thing for melee weapons as well, and bows, like I said, which I think would also be really cool. For like melee weapons though, you would have less kind of to put on there, because it wouldn't make sense to paint out like the blade of something, because it would wear off. So maybe if it was on a melee weapon, you could have it, but like towards the edge of the weapon, or if it's something like a hammer, towards the head of the hammer, it like fades off kind of as if it's been used. Just to give it that little bit more of like a realistic type of feel, if that makes any sense. I think that would also be really cool. I think I mentioned earlier that you can also play with one other person. Only one other person. A lot of games that I see now, they'll let you play with 3 other people. Some examples are Borderlands. All the Borderlands game let you play with only 3 other people, so there's a maximum of 4. Dying Light, you can only play with a maximum of 4. Actually, I don't think there are a lot other than that. Mainly games like that, really, that you can have a maximum of 4. But I wanted to keep it to only one other person. I mean, and you could go and like visit your other friends, not be in their lobby, but be able to check out like what their stuff looks like or whatever. Like maybe like a little folder that if you go into like the social tab or whatever of the game, and you click on their thing, you would click on file, and it would show you like what their base looks like, what kind of level they are, how many survivors they have, what their survivors do, like all kind like that kind of stuff. Just so you could like compare like, ha, I'm level 40, you're only like level 38 or whatever. Just so there's that almost like feel of accomplishment because I'm someone who loves being competitive with my friends. We always try to outdo each other when we play, which I feel like is incredibly fun in games, especially like this one. So you can see why it's kind of something different. I also wanted it to be like serious, but not very serious. For example, in the Dead Rising series, you could do things like wear a Mega Man suit or wear a Lego suit, and the story didn't take itself very seriously. Well, in this game, I said earlier, I don't even know if there is a story, and I would like to customize your character, and that similar way, like if you kill a zombie that has like a cool shirt on, you can take that shirt and wear it, or like someone with a mask, you could put that mask on. So there's always stuff you could, be collecting like that. I also think it'd be really cool if later down the line you'd unlock a skill like tailoring, or maybe you find a tailor survivor and be like, hey, here's this shirt, can you do this to it? Like, can you bleach it? Can you tie-dye it? Whatever. So later on in the game, you'd actually have custom clothing, and you could modify it so you could look, pretty badass while you're slaying some zombies and whatever. This game, I don't know if I already said it, but I would like it to be set in, like, it has to be set into, like, a city. Maybe you have, like, a little area that's, like, swampy or, like, a forest, and it is, like, open world, sorry. So the map is going to have to be, like, pretty damn big. Like, I'm gonna say, like, Fallout 4 sized. Just massive. And you have to have stuff, at a constant respawn, like I said earlier. As you level up, stuff's going to get harder, but you're going to get better loot in the process as well. Now, out of gameplay stuff, taking kind of like a little side note from Call of Duty, because I know a lot of people play that, they have this supply drop system to where you can pay in-game currency to get this, like a supply drop that has a chance of giving you stuff. And you can get like voice lines, or you could get camos for your guns, sometimes even new weapons entirely. CSGO has this similar thing, except you can only get skins out of it, and man, players take that very seriously. I wanted something kind of similar. You don't pay for an in-game currency in order to get it. You pay with like zombie skulls or some crazy shit like that, to where like after you get enough, you can give it to one person who's like, oh, I just got this stuff in, don't ask where I got it or whatever, and then you have a chance of getting some cool shit. But like, you'd be able to get it a lot more frequently than you would be able to get it in Call of Duty or whatever, like, because every time you kill a zombie, you'd say you had like a 70% chance to get like their head, and then you could give them that many heads, and then he magically gets this fucking like crate of goods or whatever that has a chance of giving you some cool stuff. Another random thing I would like to point out, because it's also in a lot of other games, and this will probably be like one of the last points I actually hit on, is I don't want weapons and stuff like that to actually have a durability. Like if you make an axe, I feel like it should have a durability, or if you make a bow, maybe it has like a really, like a huge amount of durability. But as far as like firearms go, I don't believe there should be a durability on them at all. Just because firearms in this game I feel like would be extremely rare, and the bullets would be very rare, so they'd be hard to get. Just so I feel like there shouldn't be a durability on that. I've thought about other ideas for this, but that's kind of where I'm going to have to stop this, guys. If you guys think this sounds really cool, leave a like, leave a comment. If you know somebody up in a company, go ahead and let them know. And as always, guys, I hope you guys had fun, just listening to me talk about this, I guess. Peace out, guys.